when you came in here, what did you think and where were you?
Well, of course, I was in the old gym. So I started mid-70s, and we used to come down to I was in the junior school. We come down the hill to come to this gym. It was sort of actually was special to come down to here. There was obviously a gym in the junior school, and then we would occasionally come down to sort of, I don't know, I think there were horses down here, you know, the old gym horses.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And they weren't the gym horses up in the junior school.
Hazy used to throw me out.
Yeah, of course, right? So we'd come down here. And then when I was in senior school, it wasn't really used so much as the gym because the Glen Centre was built or being built. And then actually Glen Centre finished in 83 was my last year. And I think that was the first year of the Glen Centre. So we must have used this as a gym. It was also where we did exams. I can remember year 9, Form 3 science exam in here very well because we all managed to find a way to all get the same result.
Yeah. Well, it's a great building, and it's a pity I can't show you around this a bit more, but to our viewers, this is the home of the new tuck shop, recently opened, and it's going to be fantastic for the boys. It
is unreal to, I'm going to say finally have a place where the boys are able to congregate and eat. You know, one of the issues at school for a long period of time, 100 years, has been the lack of a really, you know, signature spot that boys are able to sit down and lunch and chat to each other. We all know that that's where, you know, the best conversations happen over food, and hopefully, you know, a relaxed hour or whatever, you know, over the lunch period. A really important thing for the school to do, i.e. invest in a place for the boys to eat and congregate and enjoy each other's company. And they've done a fantastic job. There's no question that they've done a super job. And the landscaping outside is awesome. So it gives the boys an opportunity to sort of, you know, maybe, hopefully this becomes the real heart of the school. You know, you can see that happening. The only issue might be, is it big enough? Because, you know, there's a lot of boys and there's not a lot of seats.
No, well, how they manage that, I'm not sure. But anyway.
I'm sure they'll do a good job.
So Russ, we've got in, so to our audience, we've got close to 200 people listening.
Great.
200 questions, broken them down as best I could. So we're here for hours. Anyway, no, we're not.
Yeah.
I've broken it down to a couple of components. So the first thing I wanted to ask you was, I heard a little bird told me that you had a trip to Canberra.
Yes.
No one's flying at the moment. How did that happen?
Yeah.
And it led to a couple of questions around, and who did you catch up with?
Yeah.
And that's sort of a couple of themes around flying to Sydney, back from Melbourne and Sydney and back.
Yeah, yeah.
That thing, is that a thing of the past? And you know. So
well, I mean, the trip to Canberra, I flew to Canberra. So I flew Virgin at lunchtime on Monday, and I was expecting the vibe in the plane to be a bit anxious, and actually it wasn't at all. There was no anxiety. Virgin did a good job at just, you know, the PA, the announcement around, don't worry, we are very conscious of ensuring that you're in a clean environment. You know, they deep clean the planes. I mean, it's a little incongruous when they say, you know, file onto the plane with 1.5 meters apart, and then you sit down on the plane and you're clearly less than 1.5 meters apart. So there is a little issue there. There's not much they can do about that. The middle aisle was locked off.
Oh.
So obviously it was a 737, so 3x3, unless you're in business class. I wasn't in business class. So I was on the aisle. It was locked off in between me and then the person on the window seat. I actually felt very comfortable. I wasn't expecting to feel comfortable. I was fine. The awesome thing is, of course, there's no planes in the air, so everything takes off on time and it lands on time because they don't have to really deal with the traffic.
Schedule wasn't a problem.
Yeah, so that was absolutely really good. The staff were fantastic. They just went about their business. There was no they weren't being overly anxious themselves. So I landed in Canberra Airport. It was the only plane that landed in Canberra Airport. There was nothing else happening. And then in the evening, I flew Qantas home. It was a 7 p.m. flight that took off at 6:40. So they loaded everyone up early. It was a Dash 8, so that's the propeller plane, the prop. 20 people at most on that plane. And again, I actually didn't mind that. I mean, the prop plane, Canberra-Melbourne, that's over an hour's flying. But again, it was fine. It was just it's a bit disconcerting when, you know, most of us fly a lot, and I go to Canberra a lot, and the Canberra airport, of course, is always, you know, it's not the busiest airport, but there's always plenty of people around. No cafes, no bars, no clubs were open. It was that definitely was a little strange. And then, of course, Canberra itself was very quiet. I went into Parliament House. I actually asked the taxi driver to stay and wait for me because there was very few taxis around. Yeah, so it was an entirely different vibe, very, very different vibe. But, you know.
And who did you catch up with?
Well,
you allowed to stop?
No, we've got clients up there. So PwC does a lot of work with government. And so, yeah, we were presenting to clients. You know, PwC gets to do some pretty significant projects. And the role that I've got is really, can be very exciting. In particular, I actually like working with government a lot, Monty.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed going up there. I was quite happy to get on a plane, spend the afternoon in Canberra, talk to some people, get on a plane, come home. It's good.
Cook your own meal because Kate was down there.
Kate is, that's right. So Kate's father died. So Marcus Burke, who might be known to some who are listening. So he died, actually died when COVID locked down that week. And Kate's been living with her mother ever since. They're having a lovely time. They're having a very nice time. It's good.
Now the golf is very open. She'll be down there.
Yes.
Get us right.
Yeah, that's true.
Let's hit some business questions. So tell us about how you're spending your day and working from home.
Yeah.
And how will this be the new norm going forward?
Yeah. So I am working from home and I thoroughly enjoy it. It's been really wonderful. I have spent a long time, we're just talking about getting on planes. I mean, I literally have got on a plane at least once a week for probably the last 30 years. Yeah. Or the truth is probably three weeks out of 4, I would be on planes for sure. And often more than one trip a week. It's really nice not doing that. I'm enjoying not doing that. I sit at my desk. I'm there at 8 o'clock. I probably leave at about 7. Unbelievably productive. I'm thoroughly enjoying having the anchor, you know, the anchor that is your desk, that is your space. Of course, I've never spent so long at home. It's really nice actually being home, getting to know your home, and noticing things in the house that I hadn't noticed before. I mean, it's as crazy as that, Monty. You know. So I genuinely enjoy it, and I think you know, I'm always been sort of a bit here, there, and everywhere. So it's actually quite nice to have a permanent base and then work from that base and then still interact with all the people you've got to interact with without having to get into the cab or get on the plane or whatever. Are
you doing more, do you think?
Way more. Yeah. There's the other fantastic thing that's happened is people are saying yes a lot quicker. You know, one phone call, what about this idea? People say that's a good idea, and boom, things are happening. You know, I've spent the last few years doing one of the speeches, one of the presentations I do. I talk about how constipated Australia has been. I think we've been very constipated for a decade. It's been hard to make things happen. No was a word that was used far more often than yes.
Yeah.
We haven't been very socially progressive. We haven't been particularly progressive in a business context. There's been very little reform. We've been, I think constipated is a good word to describe it. And this time, so yes, there's some really bad stuff happening. Obviously, there's some really horrible stuff happening for many people. Obviously, people's health, the sense of isolation, the difficulties that people would be having who aren't as well off privileged as we are. I get all that. The but bit is that there's a sense of energy. And in the consulting world, Monty, you talk about burning platforms. A burning platform can be a good thing, yeah, because you've got to scramble to fix stuff. Yeah. And I've certainly witnessed a lot of that. I've witnessed a lot of scrambling, a lot of say yes, then work out how to make stuff happen. It's been energizing, is the truth of it.
That's good. I'm torn between productive and non-productive at home. It's
yeah.
I've done a few more kilometres on my bike, I must say.
Yeah, well, that's well again.
And I think everyone's been far more active, and the bike paths are packed, and walkers, and that's
totally. You've obviously noticed it. I've noticed it. There's lots of business people exercising. You know, out on the street. Absolutely, it's good. I agree with you. I agree.
Hopefully, that can continue once we get going. So,
yes.
We've just sort of answered that sort of next question about what we've found in this sort of period, what might become the new norm.
Yep.
I think exercise is hopefully a better thing for us.
I agree. The different pace, it's quite interesting, isn't it? Because all of us are in a hurry. We're in a hurry to succeed, or we're in a hurry to make the next great thing happen. We're in a hurry to get to the next party or the next event. I mean, I think all of us have been in a hurry for a long time. So this generally having a rest has been really nice, I think, for all of us. There's a danger, of course, in having a different change of pace, because you need the economy to get moving. You know, you need the money go round to keep going round. So if we can find a way for the money go round to keep going round, and yet perhaps not have that breakneck speed that we've had, if we can find that, I'd certainly vote for that.
There's a balance of something. We've got to find something.
I think so. And and all of us, of course, have got to know our families. Yeah, I mean, I'm just, my daughter Claudia and I, we're living, it's just she and I at our house in Hawthorne, and she is now 26. She's living with me, and we've basically lived all day, every day together, and it's been fantastic. And as maybe as odd as this sounds, but I've really thoroughly enjoyed getting to know her better. Yeah. You know,
I got the same experience with me. I've got a daughter, year 9,
ballerina. Yeah,
and Dad's unallowed to watch ballet pretty much when they're at the ballet school.
Yeah,
so we've had the ballet bar at home. Okay, and the back room is ballet.
Yeah, it's beautiful,
and it's fantastic.
Exactly.
She doesn't really like me in the kitchen watching, but
no, I understand.
So I think for me as a dad, I've loved that.
Well, you'll like this one. So Claudia's got me doing yoga with her, right? So why not?
I had a go at that too. Pilates is a good thing.
Yeah, but it's good. I mean, again, none of us.
Not too good.
No, terrible. None of us would expect to be doing yoga with their daughter, but that's what's happened, and I'm not knocking it. I love it. It's good.
It's good for you. You might not be on, but have you seen anything, some ridiculous isolation story out there? I know I know the kids are probably finding more stuff with YouTube and stuff.
Well, not so much ridiculous isolation story, but a story I heard the other day. I mean, a fellow who was at school with us, Andrew Shearer. So he works in Canberra, as you know. Now he got a phone call, I think January the 3rd, because of the bushfires, and he left his family around about January the 3rd. I might have the date wrong, but let's say that. He left his family, and he has been on the tools ever since. So, you know, all power to him. He's a incredibly successful, hardworking, fantastic Australian. Yeah. And he's really putting in. I genuinely don't think he's physically seen his family since then.
Wow.
Yeah.
He didn't see much of them before either.
He didn't. That's exactly right. I know.
Yeah. So, just a couple of questions around working in COVID times. I'm going to put the glasses back.
Do it.
What do you see as the most important changes and opportunities that will come out of COVID for Australian businesses?
Well, we need to digitise. That's clearly what has come out of it. We've all realised that the digital economy and the promise of digital, of course, we've sort of rapidly got there. We've got there in a matter of weeks. You know, I saw a former client the other day around at the Barton Cafe in Hawthorne. He works at RMIT, and he said, well, it took us 6 weeks to get to a place that it's taken us 6 years not to get to, right? So they've digitised the entire connection that they have with their staff and students over a 6-week period for an institution as significant as RMIT. PwC, pretty much there's 8,000 staff. You've got 97% of the 8,000 staff all working from home, not one technical issue. I mean, it's been absolutely incredible how brilliant PwC's been at digitising. So I think we've all recognised just how important that is, the digital economy. So what I'm absolutely convinced is going to happen is that we're all going to double down on what that actually means for all of us, for business, for startups. Hopefully new ideas are going to come about as a result of us recognising just how productive the digital economy is. We're going to see, I hope we're going to see just how good Australia actually is in a sort of entrepreneurial digital sense. We're very, very good at it. There's two brilliant digital businesses, which we don't really celebrate enough, Seek and REA, real estate, right? Unbelievably successful digital-based businesses, and the so-called unicorns. We need more of those. I think that they'll come out as a result of COVID. I think we're all desperate for growth. We're going to be excited by new ideas. And at PwC, we're doing our best to try and energize those new ideas as well. There's a really amazing opportunity for government. There's a budget coming up in October, and let's see what reforms they put in place. They're the ones with the levers, so they're able to pull levers in order to shape the economy into whichever shape they think is appropriate. We need to get onto the AI revolution, the machine learning revolution. We need to have big ideas for what Australia can do. We are awesome at many, many, many things. We need to be awesome at the new economy as well.
Speaking of new economies, there was a couple of questions around Australia's trade.
Yeah.
And so what does Australia's relationship with its trading partners, and in particular China, look like going forward?
Well, I'm not an expert in China.
It's certainly been in the news.
Yeah, of course. So look, it's obviously really important that we continue to trade with China, and I'm sure that will be the case. A huge amount of our economy, our GDP, is off the basis of the primary goods that we sell off to China. So we sell to China. So I think we would all hope that would continue. But also we need to ensure that we're trading well with India. We need to trade well with Japan. We need to trade well with Canada. Clearly the US is incredibly important. Again, massive opportunities for us to reset our relationships and find a way. Wouldn't it be awesome if it was a V-shaped recovery, not a U-shaped recovery? That's what we all want, I'm sure. If we can find a way to slingshot out of this, I think that's going to be tough, but we need to be energized by the opportunities of Asia, the Pacific Rim. So, it's not just about China, but they're obviously pretty critical.
Yeah, they certainly are. You mentioned Seek before as a company that's doing well.
Yeah.
Can you give us any other examples that some companies are doing some good things that have impressed you recently?
Well, I've been working with Google and with Salesforce, so neither of which, of course, are Australian companies, but we've, so PwC, Google, Salesforce, we're doing some work together, which is, obviously they're incredibly well-resourced businesses, digital-first businesses. So I've learned a huge amount actually in the last couple of months, working with them, learning more about their skills and their capabilities. I'm excited about some stuff that we're up to there, so hopefully that'll become, I can talk about it more a bit later.
Okay, we'll get to that one. I think I know what you're going to. You're an ad man by trade. And what does the future look like for advertising?
Yeah. And
how much longer can the free-to-air TV survive in an age of ever-streaming services like Netflix? I even signed up the other week.
Well done. TV, free-to-air television's grown over 30% during the COVID time. And one of the reasons why it grows, obviously it's grown because people are at home, but it's also really important to remember that it is free. Yeah. So the only price you have to pay is to watch the ads, which for many people is a fair and reasonable price to pay. So as budgets get tighter, as families, as individuals, as their income gets less, then I can imagine more free-to-air will be watched. Now, this is very good for advertisers. The reason why it's very good for advertisers is because free-to-air is very cheap. And in fact, it's got cheaper. So this bizarre thing that's happened is you've got greater viewing of free-to-air television right now, and yet the price to enter has declined.
Right.
So smart advertisers are advertising quite heavily on TV right now. So when you go home, Mont, switch on to Channel 10, watch MasterChef.
I love MasterChef.
MasterChef is fantastic, and you'll see lots of advertisers are in there. And they're not in there for charity. They're in there because it builds their business. And television, free-to-air TV, remains a core driver of business, of building business. AFL, of course, is on free-to-air television. The cricket is on free-to-air television. That's because of the anti-siphoning laws. So there actually is legislation in place, which means that core sporting programs have to be on free-to-air. So that contributes to the asset that is free-to-air TV. Doesn't mean that other options aren't being used, but it's not an either-or thing.
That surprised me, that answer, to be honest.
Yeah, well, people talk about, oh yeah, but I'm watching the iPad. So some people will triple screen. They'll have their mobile phone, they'll have their iPad, and they'll have the TV on.
Well, welcome to my house.
Yeah, that's right. And people think that that's a bad thing for TV. That's an awesome thing for TV. Right? So if TV is the third, so if your major concentration is on your phone, your second concentration is on your iPad, your third concentration is on the TV, that's good. The TV stays on. You're not using the remote control. That's awesome because advertising then cuts through.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So who cares if people aren't watching the TV shows? I just want them to watch the ads, right? So if they're not using the remote, then they're watching the ads.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, as the Chief Executive Officer for PwC.
Chief Creative Officer. I'd like to be the Chief Executive Officer, but I'm the Chief Creative Officer.
You can be creative.
Yeah.
There's one from my friend Tim Shearer. And what are your advertising clients up to these days? What are they getting their teeth into?
So there's a combination of, it's going two ways. So the one advertiser is going two ways. So at a strategic and creative level, they're looking for the best. They're looking for really sophisticated research, insights, quality strategy, quality execution. And the same advertiser is also looking for, how can I do this faster, cheaper, and better? So there's this sort of, as they say, bifurcation is going on. So many advertisers are able now to use the wonders, we're talking about digitization, the wonders of technology. They're able to use that to make advertising at an incredibly cheaper rate than they've ever been able to do. Mm-hmm. And they're able to distribute their advertising at a cheaper rate than they've ever been able to do. Right? So that's happening at the basement level, but then also at the strategy level, there's a significant amount of work which is around, it's tying up the internal core purpose of an organization with the external communication. So making sure that the external communication and the internal communication is the same. Right. So I'm talking about organizations with 10,000 staff, 20,000 staff, 30,000 staff. When you've got that many staff, what you say internally is as important as what you say externally. So we do a lot of work on getting that messaging aligned, which I thoroughly enjoy doing that. It's good.
Excellent. One of the questions, there's a big theme around this, is what do you see as the biggest ongoing change to business? We've spoken about a few things, but if there's anything else you can add to that. So the biggest change, an ongoing change.
Yeah, well, hopefully, people say yes a lot quicker. That would be a fantastic thing. I would hope that it's a younger generation's time to take over leadership. And what I mean by that is, unfortunately, younger than you and I, Mont. It's definitely time for the older folk to move away. It's time for younger leaders to be given the opportunity to lead significant organisations, to use their energy, their capability, their lack of fear. They're naturally digital and they're naturally about technology. We need them to be given a voice within. We absolutely need them to lead our economy into new places. It's really interesting when you look at how young businesses work. So businesses that are operated by 20s and 30s, they're very into collaborating. The notion of two brands, two businesses coming together with no transaction occurring, they just collaborate to go to market. It's a significant, I hear that word 50 times a day, the notion of collaboration, big part of how they do business, which is brilliant. So helping each other succeed, using, as I've said before, but using the digital world, collaboration. Really, have you looked at TikTok?
Yeah, my daughters are good at TikTok.
Yeah.
I was in one.
Yeah, good, right?
I had to rehearse about 10 times.
Yeah.
And even then, it was pretty ordinary.
Right.
But I was in one.
Yeah, but TikTok's it's really interesting.
They're fun.
They're really fun. And so one of the things that I hope is happening, and I sort of feel like it is, we've basically had a decade of narcissism. So, you know, best expressed, so Facebook and Instagram, have a look at me, do you like me, like, right? So there's sort of been a methodology, there's been a tool for narcissism, and we've been very narcissistic. We've been very much about me. When you look at TikTok, TikTok is not that at all. TikTok it's highly creative, it's highly collaborative, and no one is they're trying to out-create each other, but no one is down on anyone.
No.
Yeah, so there isn't any of that trolling that occurs on other social platforms, right? And it's a younger person's platform, and I absolutely hope that the culture of TikTok is driven through society. I think all of us are over how negative society has become. The media can be incredibly arrogant at times. And I don't see this TikTok medium being like that at all. And that is their medium. That is younger people's medium. So at some point in time, they're going to be leaders. And at some point in time, their culture will lead our culture. I hope that accelerates.
Because TikTok before COVID, there's no way I would have touched it.
That's right.
We were dragged in as the adults.
That's right.
Participate.
That's right.
That.
That's exactly right. So,
Yeah.
So and it's an amazing thing to watch, right? It's full of nonsense.
Yeah. That's kind of harmless and fun, I think.
It's everyone in the sandpit. It's everyone doing crazy things, having fun. But most importantly of all, there's no one looking down on anyone. Yeah? So I find it very invigorating.
We've got lots of parents in there with teenagers going through school and stuff like that. So yeah. So what advice would you give to our some year 12 students, the young ones that just started at university?
Yeah.
And what tertiary courses do you think may be in greater demand?
Okay, so my Louis, so he's 18, he's doing first year university. And when this year started, there was a discussion around, is it a good idea or is it a bad idea to do uni? You know, so could he defer? And my point of view was, I think it would be super for Louis to do university because he's going to learn how we are all going to be doing business for maybe forever. So the fact that we are doing it virtually and the fact that we collaborate over screens is the future. So on the one hand, I think the year 12 boys at Scotch, but year 12 throughout the country, it's very upsetting for all of them.
It is.
You know, and all of those exciting things that you get to do in year 12, they're not doing at the moment. It is really sad for them. The other side of that coin is they are learning to learn via the method that's going to become normal. So they're accelerating the new learning, the new methods of learning. If we go back to the RMIT person that I bumped into at Barton Cafe, the students are learning more, they're getting better results, they're enjoying themselves more than they had in the past. The staff are enjoying themselves thoroughly as well. It's really interesting, isn't it, Mont? So a new way of learning. So what we shouldn't be doing is we shouldn't say that's a bad thing. We should say, hang on, maybe this is an awesome future. And this is how we're going to rapidly learn. You know, another time the chairman of the Australian Film School, and we had to digitise that's a tertiary institution as well. And of course, we had to digitise learning how to do film. And the CEO was telling me, well, one of the things that they've discovered is all of the students are doing all of the reading that they've been set, right?
Oh,
so there's some good stuff happening.
Yeah, there's definitely. Well, let's move into a bit of footy stuff.
Footy.
Well, footy and business as well. There's lots of business questions around that. So footy's a big business in Australia. So we'll get to that in a sec. But congratulations on becoming a board member of the MCC. That's exciting.
MCC, awesome.
MCC, yeah, that it's not as if you're not the MCG enough. So you're going to be there even more.
Even more. That's good.
When do you think the big business of AFL will kick in? There's a lot of people want to, keen for that to start, and then cascades down. Old Scotchies with the amateurs and VFL, etc. So, what's your view on that?
Well, it's really important that football starts, and it's important from an advertiser point of view, right? Because Channel 7 that writes a very big check for the AFL, they need, as does Fox, they need football on air. They need it on air because they need advertisers to advertise within the football so that they can reap some of the investment, get some of the investment back. So it's, at a commercial level, it's critical that AFL gets back on air. And then at the social level, it's really important that it gets back on air. I don't think any of us are going to care that there's no crowds at football when it finally comes back.
Did you like round one, though?
No, I didn't. I didn't like round one, but we haven't just had 8 weeks of nothing.
No, I must admit, I didn't know this was all to come.
So I think that we're going to be really happy to watch it. And of course, the other thing is, hopefully in time, you'll be able to be in a room with 10 people and then 50 people. So, Melbourne supporters, they can go to a venue with maybe 50 people. They can watch it on a TV screen. We will find a way to enjoy the football. Of that, I've got no doubt we're going to find a way to do that. And then hopefully as time goes on, as we learn what COVID safe looks like, we can get back to going to the football. Though I suspect that's a fair way off.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, like not this year, that's for sure.
You and I are both Demon tragics.
Yes.
The Maxi Gorm, we've got to keep him on the park.
Yeah.
And and Melbourne's one of those middle to lower end clubs, big business, part of the bigger picture, funded by the AFL.
Yeah.
Can they survive?
Part funded by the AFL.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, people say, talk to some Hawthorn supporters of mine, they're sick of paying for us.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But
they're not big businesses really. They're 45. Melbourne's probably $45, $50 million business.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you're right, Scotty. It's a very fine line, and obviously there's no money coming through the door now.
It's going to be
very tough for all of them. That's okay though. The reason why I think that that's okay is all of us know that the occasional prune back is not such a bad idea. Yeah. Right. So organisations do tend to layer on and layer on and layer on and layer on. So the AFL isn't immune. Well, obviously, clearly not, because there is a need to cut back. And so all the clubs will be doing that, I imagine. And look, the good thing about that is that the second tier will get some really quality people.
Yeah,
think so. Yeah, so let's say
just they can afford to have it. Smart.
Yeah. So let's say, I'll just pick a number. Let's say 30% of the staff of the club are no longer at the club. That could happen. That 30% can then go and work at the VFL level, hopefully. Yeah. So hopefully they can still find jobs within the industry that is football, and hopefully improve, that level. So let's assume that that's what's going to happen. That would be good if that's what happened.
I think that'll cascade down into amateur football and hopefully into regional football, down to junior football as well.
That's right. And we have to feel for everyone involved with AFL. I mean, those that are in the industry, I had spent a time on the board of the Melbourne Football Club. It was the most joyful experience, despite the fact it was tough at times. There are people who've spent their life in the world of AFL, and they are passionate. They love it. They love every minute of it. They get paid to do it. So you have to feel for those, potentially some of those that don't get to, fulfill that dream or have that dream any longer. We have to think of them. At a commercial level, you can imagine that there'll be some changes, significant changes.
Yeah. Grab that water.
Yeah, thank you.
So just one final question just to conclude. And when we look back in years to come, will COVID have been a destroyer or creator of opportunity?
That's up to us. Mm-hmm. So we have to see this as an opportunity to recreate. We have to reimagine Australia. There's a huge opportunity for us to reimagine Australia. I'm very keen for us to put creativity at the centre of Australia, innovation, the digitisation of the economy, I think that the way the National Cabinet has worked, we've all enjoyed the fact that our states have become very important in how Australia is managed. I don't think any of us have got a problem with that. I think that's a really tremendous outcome that we've got as a result of COVID. We can just sort of wish life to be as it was, but why not wish it to be even better and use this as an opportunity to reshape? I see that as the opportunity. I think we should be very excited about what we might be able to build off the back of this. Brave people will start businesses now, I think.
Yeah.
They're going to have to be brave to do it. But you know what? There's plenty of money around. There's plenty of opportunity around. There's plenty of ideas, plenty of young people full of energy, full of capability. As I said earlier, we should point all of our effort at young Australians and give them a chance to build the country that they want, not the country that we've been.
Terrific. Well, Russ, it's been an absolute joy to have you in this chat, the first one of the weekly series that we have. If I could just get that gift for me from Caroline, I'd like to just extend. So this is a weekly chat we're going to have. We're going to have some guys from next week. I've got a doctor come in and we're going to talk to doctors. I've got no idea what I'm going to be asking him, but I think that's going to be a fascinating discussion.
Amazing.
Around the doctors and the world that they're living in. And beyond that, who knows what we're going to be chatting to.
But the medical industry has been amazing, hasn't it? So, literally overnight, they were doing medicine via video.
Yeah.
And they're loving it, and the patients are loving it.
Yeah.
That's another example of, we'll pass that over here. Why not?
Yeah.
Another example of how quickly the economy changed. I'll be sure to tune in, Mont. What have you got?
Some very good supporters of ours of Campbell's Wines and Bobby Burns. Just going to put that up there.
Nice.
Colin sadly died as an old boy from 58.
Yes.
I think he died. Many of our Scotchies would know Colin Campbell.
Mm-hmm.
Great supporters of OSCA. And thank you once again. I hope you do enjoy that with your lovely wife, Kate.
I'm going to go and drink with my daughter right now.
Well, you can do that.
Okay, cheers.
Thanks very much for joining us.
Thanks, everyone.
That's OSCA Live. That concludes tonight's session. And thanks very much for joining us. Do tune into the OSCA website, school's website, for more information of these future webinars. That's it for tonight. And thanks for joining us.